Hogarth, and welcome to Southwest Magazine. My guest today is the leader of the People's Party of Canada, Maxime Bernier. Thank you for being here today.
Thank you for the invitation. I'm very pleased to be with you.
I'm excited to learn more about the party, your platform, but what brings you first of all to New Brunswick?
Yeah, we are doing a tour in Atlantic Canada, and we started in New Brunswick. I'll be in PEI. I'll be also in Nova Scotia. The goal is to meet our people, build our organizations, to have a strong organization ready for the next election, and also, speaking about our values to people, because still a lot of people don't know that we exist. The People's Party of Canada. We're a new political party created in 2018. We did well in the last election with 5% of the vote, and we need to increase that. And so that's why I'm here. I'm doing some rallies, meeting our people, public rallies, and I like to be with people, and I like to speak about our Canadian values and Western civilization values.
You started the party 2018, and I do want to get into your long political background later in the show. But in 2019, 2% of the vote. So that's 1 in 50 people voting from you. Bring it to this past fall where you had 5%, so 1 in 20.
Yeah.
This riding that we're in, the riding of where Merle was running, he had 8.4% of the vote. So that really speaks to the growth in a short time of your party. What do you attribute to that growth?
I believe that more and more people are ready to speak about the real issues, and we are speaking about the real issues for the future of this country, speaking about immigration, speaking about inflation, speaking about our way of life, the woke culture that is everywhere. So we are doing politics differently. We don't try to please everybody. We are saying what we believe. We have a strong vision for this country with a smaller government in Ottawa that will respect provincial jurisdiction, the autonomy of provincial governments, and respect also taxpayers. But when I'm saying we are doing politics differently, because we don't do any polling or survey. We created that party based on 4 principles: individual freedom, personal responsibility, respect, and fairness. And all our policies are in line with these principles. And I believe people appreciate that. We try to appeal to the intelligence of people, not to their emotion like traditional politicians. We believe that people are able to have a strong discussion about what is important for this country, about the policies, about the future of this country. And I don't believe that they want more socialism. So we are focusing on Canada, our country first, and our people first. So contrary to the establishment political parties, the UN and the World Health Organization or the World Economic Forum, what they're proposing, it's always more socialism, open borders. We want to fight for our culture, preserve our culture. And yes, we are for immigration, and we understand that this country has been built by immigrants, but not mass immigration. And that's what we have right now. We are the only party that is speaking about that. On a lot of issues also, we are the only party that have a strong position to promote Canadian first and who we are as Canadians.
So on the topic of immigration, you want to cut in half what we're currently doing in terms of the number of new immigrants?
Yeah, we have right now 150,000 people a year, newcomers that are coming in a year. It is the population of Nova Scotia every 2 years. So you'll have a new Nova Scotia every 2 years. And for us, it's mass immigration. But the worst of that, the big majority of them are refugees, but not real one. I call them fake refugees that are crossing the border in my own province in Quebec illegally at the Roxham Road. They're coming with their Gucci's and crossing the border, and I don't believe that they're refugee. I don't believe that their life is in danger in New York. And so we need to help the real refugees that are waiting in a camp somewhere where their life is in danger. So with 450,000, we have a lot of refugees that are coming, and a lot also of people coming under the reunification of family. When you decide to come to Canada, you are leaving behind a part of your culture, of your family, and you're ready to embrace a new country and a new culture. That's great. But you must be able to come with your wife or your husband and your kids, but not the grandparent and grandmom, granddad, and brothers and sisters. That's family reunification. We must have immigrants that will come and be able to have a job here. That will be easier for that person to be part of our society. But right now, only 24% of our immigrants are economic immigrants. A person that will come here with a job, and the big majority are refugees or coming under the reunification of family. So that's a cost for our society. What we believe in fewer immigrants, 150,000 a year, but the big majority of them must be economic immigrant, a person that will come because that person will have a job in Canada, because an entrepreneur was not able to find a Canadians for that job, so he or she has the right to look at an immigrant for that job. So we call them economic immigrants. We must have more of them and fewer refugees and fewer reunification of family. And I believe that's important. If you want them to integrate our society and not living in a ghetto somewhere, and also right now with the impact on housing, as you know, the prices of houses are going up in big cities, Toronto and Vancouver. But we know that 40% of our immigrants are going to these big cities, 40% of them. So because of mass immigration, that put a big pressure on the prices for houses over there, because these people need to have a house. So if you cut immigration, if you have fewer immigrants, 150,000, that will help that crisis of housing in big cities.
When we're faced with a situation like the war in Ukraine, though, would your party be open to the idea of more refugees coming in a time of war?
Absolutely. That's really refugees. And that's why, we need to close the border at the Roxham Road and not accepting everybody. It must be a privilege to be Canadian. And so that's what we want. But yes, real refugees, when you are in a war zone, your life is in danger.
I do want to get into more of the pillars of your platform, but I want to backtrack a little bit and talk about you when you first got into, you were an MP first in 2006, is that right, with the Conservative Party, and you were a minister of you had three different portfolios. Can you speak a little bit about your background and then what led to you eventually forming the People's Party of Canada?
Yes, I actually jumped into politics at 43 years old. I was before VP of financial institutions in Montreal, and I had a good discussion with Stephen Harper in June 2005, and at that time Mr. Harper was looking for candidates in Quebec, and that was a good time for me. So to be a candidate, because I decided to be a politician because I believe in a smaller government, more freedom, and more freedom for individual Canadians. And I was a candidate in 2006, was elected with a huge majority in the riding of both, and I became industry minister. We did a reform over there when I was there, the deregulation of the telecom industry, more competition, prices went down, that was great. And after that, I was Foreign Affairs Minister. I resigned, and after that I became Minister for Small Business and Tourism. And I really enjoyed that. But in 2017, I did the leadership contest to be the leader of the Conservative Party of Canada. I didn't win with 49% of the vote. And I tried to work at that time with the leader, Andrew Scheer, because our platform was very popular, 49% of the vote, to try to encourage him to take some of our ideas. But he told me 13 months after the leadership that the party won't take any of our ideas, and that the platform for the election of 2019 won't be in line with what I proposed to the Conservative membership at that time. And he told me that he will go to the left. And so I said, no, I cannot. And I resigned And I said at that time that party is intellectually and morally corrupt because they're not conservative. They're only conservative in name. And they're doing politics by doing polling and focus group, and they don't have any conviction. If something is popular, they will speak about that. If it's not, they won't. But for me, doing politics, if you have a strong conviction and a strong vision for this country, you must speak about it and you'll have more support. And I think I was right, because we started the first election with 1.6% of the vote, the second one 5% of the vote. So this party is growing, and we are saying always the same thing. So the more people can know us, and the more I can explain our platform openly with passion and conviction, the more support we will have. So we created the People's Party in 2018 based on the platform that I had when I was running for the Conservative Party of Canada. And that's the same platform, and that will be always the same platform. And it is based on 4 principles that I think are the basis of our Western civilization: individual freedom, personal responsibility. People must be responsible, and respect and fairness. And all our policies are in line with these principles. And I believe that people appreciate that. We won't change. If you like what I'm saying to people, I hope you'll be a member of our party. I hope you'll vote for us. But if you don't like what I'm saying, it's okay. You know, you have 4 establishment political parties that you can vote for.
Why do you think your party is hitting a nerve right now and growing at this point in time, in this particular time in history? Yeah. Obviously, we've been through the pandemic. There have been a lot of things that have polarized people in many ways, but you are definitely one party that has grown in spite of this, in light of this.
Yeah, so I believe that people appreciate a politician that is telling the truth based on facts. But, you know, what I'm saying right now, I said that, 3 years ago, 10 years ago on some. So they appreciate that I'm honest with people. And about, when you speak about freedom, it's popular to speak about freedom after the pandemic. But it was not popular 2 years ago, the last 2 years. And I did rallies, and I was speaking about that, and I said, all these mandates must end. There's another way to deal with that pandemic, like some experts said, protect the most vulnerable people, the older people, and let open the economy. I said that in the beginning of the pandemics. And, if you want to wear a mask, that person must be able, but don't. All these mandates are not good. And I was saying that in the beginning, and we had not so many people at these rallies in the beginning. I remember the first rally I did in Montreal, if we were 100 persons, that was it. But the last one, I think we were 15,000 people there. So speaking about values, and I think people appreciate that now, with the mainstream media, that I'm not able to be with the CBC or the CTV. They don't want to have that point of view. We've been canceled there. So we're using the social media, the alternative media, the independent media, and that's a part of why we are growing also. All these independent media are growing also, so we are growing with them. So I believe that people appreciate the authenticity of what we are saying, and they can go on our website and they read our platform, and it's very logic based on common sense and on our principles. So I believe that we have a great future, and especially right now when you have in a crisis, the inflation at the top, not only 6.7%, that's the official rate on inflation, but if you do your grocery, that it's more than that, can be 12, 15%. I believe when you're in time of crisis like that, economic crisis, but also cultural one, with the socialism everywhere, in school, in journalism, in parliament, and in private sector, corporations that try to impose woke culture. People are looking at that, and they don't recognize their country. And I believe that they will look at a real alternative, because the 4 establishment parties are the same on all that, and we are an alternative. So that's what we are offering to Canadians, another alternative. And I believe that more people are looking at us now. So that's why we are growing.
You've said, see if I get your quote right, that you don't need a seat in Parliament to be the opposition. Can you elaborate a little bit on that quote?
Yeah, look, the last 2 years, we had an official opposition in Parliament. That was the Conservative Party of Canada. They approved everything that Justin Trudeau did. All these huge deficit spending mandates, everything. They voted with the government on everything on COVID-19. They were part of that COVID hysteria in Canada. So I said at that time, we are the real opposition. The real opposition, and we have an official opposition, but the real one on ideas and on policies. So we are doing a kind of a battle to change the public opinion, because I said in my speeches that we need to win that war, that ideological revolution. You have the leftists with their proposal and us on the other side, and so our goal is to speak to more people, to be able to win that ideological revolution that we need to do in this country. So I believe that outside, speaking like we did, we gained a lot of support and we were able to do that. But I believe that the next step for the party will be to have a voice in Parliament. And if we can elect 1, 2, 3, 4, I don't know how many candidates, but we need that voice, and I believe will be there, and it's part of a growing process, step by step. And we will say the same thing in Parliament. The only advantage that we will have, we may have more visibility with the mainstream media, and we'll be able to ask questions and be in the House every day, and being that opposition. But I believe that what we are doing right now, we are the only real opposition in Parliament right now. Well, not in Parliament, but in the Canadian politics.
So do you see the next election, and with the supply and confidence agreement, the NDP and Liberal will have at least 3 years till the next election, that you will win seats next time around?
That's I cannot predict the future, but that's our goal, and it's very sad that yes, because of that agreement with the Liberals and the NDPs, we can have that socialist government, woke government for the next 3 years. But for us as a political party, that is giving us time to build a party, to be across the country, to have candidates in every riding, and we'll be ready for that next election. And at that election, I'll be able to participate in the national debates. That's very important for us. I'll be able to reach people that are listening only CBC and Global News and CTV. So I'll be part of that, and that will be part also why I believe that we'll be able to have some candidates elected at that time.
Can you speak to that point, that you needed 5% of the vote to secure your position in some of the debates? Can you just elaborate on that for people who might not know?
Yeah, the condition before the last election, the condition was for a new political party with nobody elected in Parliament was to have at least 4% of the vote. And so at the previous election, and so we succeed. We had 5% of the vote. So for sure, that's why I can say for sure we'll be part of these debates at the next general election. And I can tell you that will be real debates, because I will answer a question, and I will, we will be very different than these establishment political party that will repeat what is popular in focus group. When they're doing focus group, I know what they're doing. They're 2 days before the debates, they're with their communication specialists looking at polling and survey and what they can say, what they cannot say, what is more popular. So they will have that establishment politicians language. For me, I don't need to have 2 days off during a campaign to be ready for the debate, because what I'm saying privately, publicly, in front of the media, it's always the same. So I think people will appreciate to have a real debate. I will ask the real question, like, why not the Conservative and the Liberals, not the Liberals, but the Conservative are saying right now that they will build pipelines all across the country. Harper said that also. I was part of that government, and we didn't build any pipelines. So why? The question is, how will you do that? And the only way to build a national infrastructure is to use the Constitution, the Section 9210 in our Constitution, that will give the authority, the responsibility, the jurisdiction for the federal government to approve any pipelines. And we did that, we used that clause in the Constitution more than 100 times since Confederation. That's why we have a national infrastructure, like railroad and all that. So that's the solution, but the conservative won't speak about that, because if you do that, you are imposing your pipelines on Quebec, on Vancouver and BC, and they want to have vote over there. They don't want to explain to the population that it's safer for the environment and the population to transport oil and gas by pipelines than by train. We are in 2022. We can build a very safe pipeline in this country, and that will be safe for everybody. So you need to explain that to the population, but not, they're looking at the survey and, oh, people in Quebec are against pipeline, so that's why I believe that the conservative won't be able to build pipelines if they don't use the Constitution, and they won't use the Constitution because the impact of that will be for them to lose some votes in Quebec or in BC. And they don't have the courage to explain the situation because they want that one clip at the news, and you know, I'm not doing politics like that. I believe that you must explain your platform, and the one clip and the one soundbite, that's not for me.
Your position on COVID-19 spoke to a lot of people. You're still being affected by it yourself, having to travel by car. COVID-19 won't be going away in terms of an issue that we're likely dealing with even 3 years from now. Do you continue to have that as part of your platform going forward?
Absolutely, absolutely. And also, not only that, me personally, you know, I'm doing a battle in the court. I'm suing the Trudeau's government with Brian Petford, the former Premier of Newfoundland. We are again in a case. That case, the hearing of that case will be the first week of September, and we are saying to the Trudeau's government that restriction for an unvaccinated Canadians not to be able to travel in our own country is unconstitutional, illegal, not based on science, not based on common sense. And actually, we are the only country on this planet that is not allowing a Canadian not vaccinated to travel by plane, by train, or by boat in his own country. So I hope this hearing will be in September. I hope that we'll be able to win that. If not, for sure we will appeal up to the Supreme Court of Canada. But I'm the only leader of a national party that cannot travel by plane across the country. And as you know, the country is huge. But right now I'm doing a road trip in Atlantic Canada for 3 weeks. I'm very happy to do it, but it would be very difficult for me to be in Western Canada. You know, time is precious and I want to be efficient. And doing that, you know, last year I traveled, during the election last year, I did 79,000 kilometers by plane. So I cannot do that by car. But all these draconian measures are still there, and yes, COVID-19 and these draconian measures, we need to fight against that. It may, you know, we don't know what will happen next winter, but there's a way to deal with COVID-19 without imposing any restriction on our rights and freedoms. And we spoke about it. We are speaking about it, and we will speak about it until we win that battle.
As far as freedom goes, Elon Musk now buying Twitter. I'm curious to hear your perspective on that. What do you think will be the outcome?
Yeah, that's a great news for freedoms lovers. Very great news. I'll give you an example. I was shadow banned on Twitter for the last 2 months. Didn't grow my supporters. I was blocked at 185,000 supporters, and usually I was growing by 1,000 every 2 days. So that was a real shadow ban, and that was censorship. And so when that decision came and that news came, I was able to grow the same day with 1,000 new followers, and I'm still growing since then. So I can see the real impact. Censorship is everywhere, and we are the only party that is speaking about that, against that. And not on so Twitter, that will be great because we'll have a real social media where everybody will be free to express their point of view, and it will be a real free platform. And I hope that will give an incentive maybe to YouTube and Facebook to do the same. We need, we're not supposed to be in a communist country. And that's the situation right now. When you have the big techs that are censorship, the censorship is very huge coming from them, and you have the federal government with Bill C-11 that wants to do the same thing and try to control what we are saying on social media. That's not our country, and we are fighting for freedom and freedom of expression on social media for sure.
Well, I appreciate you making the time to come visit us today. Where is your next stop on your maritime tour?
It will be in St. John, and after that, a couple of other cities in New Brunswick, and I'll be in PEI and in Nova Scotia. We're going to do this trip until the third week of May. And I appreciate that. We are meeting people. I can speak about our values. And the challenge is for us, some people don't know that we exist as a new political party. So that's an opportunity for me to be with them, listen to them, and explaining our goal as a political party to bring back our country when it was 10 years ago or 20 years ago. More freedom, less government, a government that will respect you, that will respect what you want to do, won't interfere with your day-to-day life. And I think that's a big challenge, and that's why I like what I'm doing. So thank you very much for giving me that opportunity, and I hope I'll be able to be with you another time.
Thank you for coming in, and please do come back next time you're in New Brunswick.
Thank you.
My guest today has been Maxime Bernier, leader of the People's Party of Canada. I'm Vicki Hogarth. Thank you for watching Southwest Magazine.
Southwest Magazine is a news and public affairs production of CHCO Television.